As Prime Minister Mark Carney heads to Beijing, this is not just another diplomatic visit. It is the first trip by a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly 8 years, and it comes after one of the most strained periods in Canada-China relations in modern history. The stakes are high, expectations are cautious, and every move Carney makes will be watched closely, not only in Beijing, but in Washington as well. At the center of this visit is trade. Specifically, a long-running dispute over Canada's steep tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles and China's retaliatory levies on Canadian agricultural products, including canola. These measures have hurt exporters, strained provincial economies, and frozen progress on broader economic cooperation. China's message ahead of the visit has been clear but conditional. Beijing has signaled that if Canada scraps its 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, China would be prepared to drop its retaliatory measures. On paper, it sounds like an opening. In reality, it is a test of strategy, patience, and political judgment. Canadian officials are not promising a breakthrough. One senior government source has made it clear that while progress is expected, no one should anticipate an immediate or definitive removal of what Canada considers unfair Chinese tariffs. That realism is important, because Carney is not entering Beijing to strike a dramatic deal. He is going to reset the tone. Experts describe the visit as a milestone and a major test. After years of diplomatic freeze, including the detention of Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, and a public inquiry that concluded China is the most active foreign interference actor in Canada, any engagement with Beijing carries risk. Carney must decide how far to go, what concessions are acceptable, and how to protect Canadian interests at home while reopening dialogue abroad. Trade diversification is a key driver of this trip. Carney has been clear that Canada cannot remain overly dependent on a single market. Re-engaging China is part of a broader effort to reduce vulnerability and expand options, especially as global trade becomes more fragmented and unpredictable. But nothing about this visit exists in isolation. Canada's EV tariffs were deliberately aligned with those imposed by the Biden administration, designed to present a united North American front to protect the auto sector. Any move Canada makes now will inevitably affect talks with the United States, particularly as negotiations approach to renew the Canada-US-Mexico agreement. That is where Carney's challenge becomes especially complex. If Canada were to simply drop its tariffs, it could ease tensions with China but complicate relations with Washington. Experts say any change would almost certainly need to be discussed with U.S. counterparts. At the same time, Canada is not without options. One possibility is a European-style approach, applying targeted tariffs based on subsidies and compliance with rules-based trade, rather than blanket measures. Another option is allowing Chinese companies to manufacture EVs or batteries inside Canada. But that path would face strong resistance from the domestic auto industry, which worries about long-term impacts on jobs, competitiveness, and the future shape of Canada's manufacturing sector. Carney is expected to hear all of these concerns, and weigh them carefully. Beyond EVs, agriculture remains a priority. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe is expected to join part of the trip, reflecting the damage Chinese tariffs have caused to canola producers. Energy is also on the table. Canada is exploring new markets for oil and liquefied natural gas, and China's growing appetite for crude presents an opportunity, especially as global energy supply chains shift. Some analysts note that China's interest in Canadian energy could grow further as geopolitical disruptions affect traditional suppliers. But again, opportunity comes with caution. Security concerns have not disappeared. Former national security officials warn that re-engagement must be accompanied by stronger safeguards at home. They argue Canada still lacks a fully operational foreign agent registry and a dedicated foreign interference commissioner, raising questions about preparedness as diplomatic ties thaw. Others take a different view. Michael Kovrig, who was detained in China for nearly 3 years, has called the visit a positive step. He argues that a near-total freeze in communication is not a sustainable way to manage disputes, and that dialogue, even difficult dialogue, is necessary. At the same time, he cautions against illusions. China's manufacturing overcapacity means access to foreign markets is increasingly important for Chinese firms. Any opening Canada offers will be pursued aggressively, and policymakers must remain realistic about motives and leverage. This is why Carney's approach matters. He is not going to Beijing to erase the past. He is going to test whether a controlled, strategic recalibration is possible, one that protects Canadian values, supports exporters, manages security risks, and avoids triggering new tensions with allies. The visit will not resolve everything. Officials are clear about that. What it may do is reopen channels, clarify intentions, and signal that Canada is willing to engage, but not blindly. After Beijing, Carney heads to Qatar to seek investment from the Middle East, then to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. The message is consistent: Canada is broadening its options, strengthening its position, and refusing to be boxed into dependence on any single partner. This trip is not about choosing China over the United States, or vice versa. It is about asserting Canadian agency in a world where economic pressure, political leverage, and strategic competition are now constant. After years of tension, Carney's China move is crucial not because it promises quick wins, but because it reflects a longer-term strategy, one based on caution, diversification, and deliberate engagement. And in today's global environment, that may be the smartest move Canada can make. Did Mark Carney just change the game for Canada? Comment below your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for daily updates on Canadian politics, economy, and international relations.